the Ashen Forge.
Mhm.
Hello and welcome to the Ashen Forge. I am Phantom X, joined by Diggs and the legendary Neurotoxin. As always, hoping that the internet stays connected. For some reason, I have had some connection issues. So, um, yeah, that's not a normal, but here we are. So, how's it going?
Pretty good. That is definitely a different interface.
Yeah. Yeah, that's nice. It works.
I think so.
Yeah, I've been tired. I don't know. We redid I redid our overlay, what, I don't a couple months ago now, and, I don't know, it didn't grow on me. I didn't like it, so, yeah, this was literally
Um,
just thrown together in a matter of,
so
yeah, this
like
this was literally just
whoa,
thrown
what's going on?
together in a
Hours
matter.
today, sometime today.
Yeah, my internet is all jacked up. Yeah, literally in the last, like, 3 hours, so we'll see. Let me know how it goes. If you like it, let me know. If you don't like it, let me know.
Okay. Yeah, I got paused. I don't know. So my internet might be a little wonky too, but we'll see.
Hopefully we stay connected. But
Hmm.
anyways, Ashes of Creation. What we got to talk
Yeah,
about?
Ashes of Creation. I'm surprised. Usually we talk about other stuff for the first 30 minutes, but
We
now we're
can.
actually going straight. No, no, it's we've got the wand combo coming up.
Yeah.
One combo. So that's
We got a
that'll be a little
new.
bit of an interesting sort of thing. It's saying not just I'm hoping more than just the one combo, but one progression, and that they'll actually kind of crack open the weapon progression sort of thing and give us a little bit of an idea of what sorts of things people might expect if they're intending to be a wand main. Diggs, what were you saying?
I was gonna say we also have the Nakua, but so you're thinking we are gonna have a wand demo, so we'll get into some of the weapon skill tree, like the weapon skill tree for it, kind of like we did with the um great sword.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, that'll be nice. Hopefully, in that we'll be able to see different ways that the combo can be set up. So maybe for some people, they want to build for something that the last attack in the combo stacks whatever element the wand is. The debuffs on their target could be that they maybe wanted to just do a large AoE burst, or some sort of AoE, maybe hit some of the things around it. Maybe they spec the combo purely as an aggro sort of thing, that they use it either to minimize aggro that they build up with it, or that the last hit of the combo maybe instead builds more aggro. So if you've got somebody that's playing as a wand tank or something, maybe they're, archetype support, that sort of thing in a good way for them. That they'd be able to spec the wand in such a way that it'd still be able to do its primary function, act as a ranged weapon that helps to retain aggro, but it works in such a way where, it maybe is as good or potentially even preferred over a bow for that specific purpose for the way that they're built. So that'd be nice to see, what sort of opportunities and variation it's going to have to it. And then the other thing, we're going to be seeing some desert stuff.
Mm.
So that sounds good. Somebody had mentioned Steven saying about the desert. So yeah, that'll be nice. I know we saw a bit of the desert when they were showing off the big scorpion monster thing. Uh, so maybe we'll see that. Maybe we'll see that big spider or something recently shown as part of the other feature for it. Be nice to see some desert enemies, maybe some desert resource nodes. Get a little bit of a feel. Maybe see a like a Valoon village or something.
What
That'd be
was
nice.
demo from last year? Was it a biome demo or was it seasons where we saw the desert? Was it a
I
biome demo?
I can't remember. I think it might have just been a demo that had a bit of that boss encounter being featured.
No, I mean the one where they showed off the different biomes and like maybe it was seasons or something.
That could be,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
but yeah, it'd be nice
Because
to
I think you
see.
were saying that the desert they didn't have the right type of cacti. They didn't have the right type of cacti.
Oh, I think I say that for every game because ever since Warner Brothers cartoons, not a sponsor, it's the Acme effect of every desert that they ever depict is basically sand dunes, like the Gobi or Nerid or whatever, a very arid and desolate sort of desert. But then that's always dotted with saguaro cacti, which are very specific to like Arizona and the surrounding region and nowhere else on Earth. And so to me, it's always the sort of funny thing that the saguaro cacti is the official you're in a desert vegetation, even though there's worlds of succulents out there and they're amazing. And yeah, the saguaro is great because it creates, fun silhouettes, and then also cactar from Final Fantasy games is pretty fun too. But I would always want to make a saguaro cacti, like a real big one, as an awoken creature in D&D, because then I'd love to have my own personal cactar running around. But other than that, yeah, that will be and always will be. I will always bring it up because everyone does it. I don't know if it's like a nostalgia thing, if it's like people being lazy, if it's I don't know, not the Mandela effect, but
It's a
one
trope.
of those things. It's maybe a trope, maybe a trope. Um, it's kind of a funny sort of thing to me that it always shows up like that, and um, I am eager to see what the desert's going to look like because they've already said they're not going to be having these vast arid deserts like the dunes of Tatooine in Star Wars Galaxies, where it literally is, but at the same time, not force things to spread out. You're still recording this even though it went off,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, we are.
Okay, so I'm gonna just keep on talking like it didn't just go down, and
No,
people
we're
can
good.
see this part.
Yeah, I don't know.
But I guess we went out on talking about deserts and sand dunes and stuff, but I kind of getting back to the point. They want something that's a lot more vibrant. I'm sure you've driven through plenty of deserts in California yourself, Diggs, and
Mhm.
you know uh, people who travel see deserts. They ain't that. They're blooming with life, all of them, and it's a very specific kind of life. It's the sort of stuff that can survive with not a lot of rain, except maybe like a flash flood once or twice a year, and then it's just all the rain at once, and then it whatever soaks into the groundwater soaks in the groundwater, whatever trickles away, and all the plant life can live off of that. Even less than that is just getting coastal misty breezes and stuff. They're those beetles that
It,
oh, the
yeah,
internet done confounded us this time,
yeah.
everybody. Um, but yeah, desert. I want to see more desert. I'm eager to see more desert. Um, like it's not that I don't want to see the arid deserts too. They just don't make all of them arid deserts. Make make one like sand dunes for miles sort of place. Maybe two or three of them where it makes sense with the ecology, and then maybe have like some playa desert and dust basin, any sort of stuff where yeah, it's got a lot of characteristics of a desert. It's not sand, it's dirt, but it's still very very dry and desolate for a long ways out. But it'll also, it'll be nice and fun to have those because when people are out doing caravan stuff, they'll be easy to spot in the distance and easy for people to run up on. So it's very much like, oh, I see some wagons in the distance. I will go and assist myself to some experience because it looks like they're almost to town. Hey, you guys are almost to town. Join. All right, let's march 30 yards or meters. Are they using feet or imperial or metric in the game? I can't remember.
Yeah, I don't remember either. I think it was some kind of M.
Yeah, well, metric is good. I think Unreal Engine uses metric. I could be
Um,
mistaken.
so I kind of wish that
Metric
some
equivalent.
game, I kind of wish that some game, and it might be possible
Have you ever
for
felt
them to do a twist on this with the node system. I wish some game would do a desert that had mirages. So you think you're going to an oasis and you either never get there or you get there and it disappears. You could probably do the disappearing thing with something like the node system, but that could be
Using
tough.
lighting and shaders, it probably wouldn't be too terribly difficult to create a mirage sort of system like that, where you're able to use like heat and refraction across a certain sort of surface and apply camera effects and such to it so that it does actually look like there's a mirage off on the distance when in fact it's just, you know, baking ass hot out that way and the light is refracting off of the surface in such a way that it has a nice watery shimmer to it. That definitely
Speaking,
makes sense as something that could go in the game.
speaking of that, we had a total eclipse since the last time we were on, I think,
Yeah.
which was kind of freaky. So the freaky parts was not so much even the sun effect, but the darkness, like watching places go dark. That was kind of freaky, especially if you
Yeah,
think
it's
about
fun.
before we understood the scientific concept of it. Um, so I'm wondering what our,
I
I think
mean,
we
with that
have
one, I always go to like Passover, the darkness part. It's like, well,
exactly.
they had almanacs and stuff because they tended the land, so they knew when it was coming. So it's like, hey, guess what? In a few minutes, the light is going to be cast out from across the land. It's like, wait,
Mhm,
you're BSing, and then it happens. Oh my
mhm,
God, he's not BSing. I
mhm.
thought the bugs and everything else was bad enough.
And I think supposedly Columbus did something like that too. Um,
Yeah, there was some war or battle sometime from like approximately, I don't know, 15 to the 1800s, somewhere in there, probably more than one, where they went out to fight and then an eclipse occurred and they were both sides were so freaked out they're like, nope, back to camp.
well, I think
We'll
this
try
one that I
again
heard,
tomorrow.
yeah, what I heard is Columbus was talking to the Mayans or something like, "Give me your gold. If you don't give me your gold, I'm going to make the sun go out." And they were like, "Ah," and then the sun went out, and then like, we'll give him the gold. Like, give him the gold. Give him the gold. Um,
Not
so
Columbus. That was the dude who looted Montezuma's treasure.
okay, yeah, the person who told me reminded me of it said Columbus, um, but yeah, how many? I wonder how many moons we have on Vera and what the possibilities for that would be. That could be an interesting seasonal thing or a yearly thing, or
How easy
it
would
could be
that be to
interesting.
do?
I don't know.
Uh
If you have seasons, then it should
Yeah,
be
but to have an eclipse?
relatively.
it's as easy as you want. I remember just kind of poking around and seeing what was possible. Snipe Hunter, while he was working on Chronicles of Illyria, was looking at like planetary sun and modeling, moon modeling, and orbit systems and stuff. And Telestin had itself, I think, a wacky orbit, and I believe Illyria was going to have itself a wacky orbit that created different sort of celestial opportunities. So, just kind of poking around with that tool, I guess it's like a NASA tool, probably free to access. People would be able to potentially set up, in the systems team or whatever, set up the whole orbital setups and sequence for what goes around what and all of that sort of stuff. And, um, that's that also brings up kind of an interesting idea to me of actually having a very slow moon. It's a large moon, it's a close moon, it's a slow moon. It's one that takes like, let's say, an entire IRL month to go around the gameplay world of Vera, um, and is able to blot out celestial events along the way. I think that would be a pretty sweet sort of thing, because if they're going to model it in that way, it isn't all of Vera all at once, because that's not how light works on a sphere. So it would be a band across Vera at any given time is the long-term shadow zone, and that could create all sorts of witching hour opportunities, Carfin reemerging, the ancients having a football game, whatever. Some sort of wacky thing that wouldn't normally happen and creates different opportunities for adventurers, crafters, resource gatherers, processors. Digs. I'm guessing Vec going around looking at the stars everywhere. It's like, hey,
Mhm.
now that this eclipse is going, I can see all the constellations so much easier. That actually could be really fun to be able to use it as a enhanced stargazing opportunity.
Yeah. Do we know
So
yet, like, how extensive they're going to treat this? Like, is there? I guess they've shown us constellations, but is that in the skybox, or is there actually a series of stars that they have around? And
it's even
also,
more complex than that. It seems that you actually have to be sometimes in certain places, looking certain directions, under certain circumstances, to actually be able to see it. And in some ways, that means that they are effectively magical constellations that somebody at ground level with a clear view looking at the same point in the sky isn't going to be able to see it, because they haven't met all the other characteristics of what you need to be able to see it. That's the way it's kind of been explained at this point, that it isn't just something where everybody on approximately this range of ships or this range of area on land can look up in the right direction and they'll all see it. Maybe some of the more common ones, perhaps, but it sounds like there's some that are very much like rare discovery sort of opportunities. And once you found them, presumably you can do something cool with that information. Maybe you see it and like you get hit by some spark and you can't quite tell what happens, but then you look in your inventory and you've got some you know shard of the constellation that starts some world changing quest or something cool, just because you're out gazing at the stars. Aliens, I mean, I guess the what even would be aliens? Like, is there life outside of Vera, like off of the planet surface? Is Sanctus a different planet? Wasn't that the thing? It
I
wasn't
think
the
this is a
different
different
thing.
planet. Hmm.
So there's all right. Now, I talked about the idea of, going beyond the known borders of the world is where they could expand the game world map, but I totally wasn't even thinking about the game just going full Spelljammer in like 15, 20 years. It's like, all right, let's just do it.
I
We're
mean,
going
we
to
also
moon.
have
We're going to
portals.
planet.
The
That's
portals
true.
could go to different areas. So, um, but yeah, so a few things like I'm also thinking about this wand and the mage we saw before that. At least I think it's the NPCs have shamans who can summon lightning storms or thunderstorms, rainstorms. Um, I wonder if you could summon an eclipse. That might be interesting, and what effects might come along with that. We know we have magical seasons, magical weather type stuff. So I don't know what that means, but I wonder if that's an aspect that you could just bring similar to a rainstorm. Um, MagSpy was saying in chat that this should be super easy having an eclipse since they have a night day cycle already with UE5. And UE5 reminds me that uh, They just went to 5.4.
Oh,
I'm
did they just
assuming,
recently do
yeah,
another upgrade?
yeah. I'm
Well,
assuming
all
that.
right.
I don't think Ashes went there. Intrepid didn't go there yet. I'm just saying that it's out. I'm
Oh yeah.
expecting. I'm expecting that to happen sometime before release.
It's
But
I think one of those things that's going to happen between beta 1 and beta 2. I think that's potentially going to be one of the defining things between beta 1 and beta 2, in fact, is they'll get as far as they can with what they've got, but they'll find all the places where they're running up against various barriers and finding where those barriers are fixed with later updates and iterations. They'll find exactly the one that they need to land on from what's all available. They'll put it through its testing and its rounds and its rigors, and then once everything's been fully moved onto that version and that you know decimal upgrade of that version, that'll probably be the one that we launch on after beta 2. That'd be the last like real good opportunity to think about changing the version without having to stop a lot of other necessary work. Potentially they're going to do that between alpha 2 and beta 1 as well. That would also be another good opportunity to do it, and for however long alpha 2 is going to go and however long it's going to be before beta 1 comes out, that would be another good opportunity to figure out where the limitations of Alpha 2 were and be like, all right, we need this, and this, and it's delivered in the engine in these ways, and almost on this one that we can fudge and remodify to our needs. So that's where I kind of see the upgrades coming. I don't if they aren't in the process of it and trying to wrap it up right now, I scarcely think that they're trying to do a version upgrade this close to the um, you
supposed.
know the planned Alpha 2.
Mhm.
So
This
here,
this would probably be the cutoff to get started because it seems like it takes about 6 months to really have it all finished.
Mhm.
I'm kind of being picky about this, and I know that, but so I'm trying to understand. So in
Well, for
Ashes,
one, MagSpy is saying that Throne and Liberty, players are able to make an eclipse, right?
Oh,
Anyway,
that's fine.
well, no, so here's where I'm trying to get my head wrapped around some. It's Eclipse kind of side is related, but so the day night cycle in Vera, is that for the entire this? Because this is where I also wonder about the weather climate pattern. Is that for the entire world? Like if you're if in the south west region of the world and it's nighttime, and you have a friend summon you to the very northeast region, kind of the opposite end of the world, is it also night there? Or is there actually variation that is a sort of continuous, it's not a circular world, right? Stephen has said that it's a
right.
it's you can't run one direction the entire time and come back.
That's right.
I'm just
Or
so
that
is it an
is
eclipse or
true,
are
but
you
I
just
don't.
making it nighttime? Because I think of it,
Effectively nighttime.
yeah.
You
Because
would
well, I
Just
think
sun
of
effect.
well, I
obscure
would
the
think of an
daylight
eclipse not being everywhere.
source with another object, and it would be handled through primarily the lighting system. Um, how close the Unreal Engine comes to approximately replicating the sun versus how much it's still a light at a distance in a direction with a projection distance and all of that sort of stuff to it, then it would still require a little bit more work to put in an eclipse. But any one of their engineers that's real quick with the tools could probably start now and in like an hour or so have some form of functional eclipse system working in a new project in a way that would work with the technology in the game. So I don't think it's something that's really difficult to do. The other mechanics of what it would be and how it would be and how it all work out, I think, is where a lot more of the time would go is, if they hadn't already been planning for it, the planning for what an eclipse would be, what it would do, how it would affect the gameplay, how it would affect the world, what sort of thing would, content and opportunities would be specific to it. That's a whole lot more work, I think, than being able to obstruct the light source for a band of light across an area.
Mhm.
But
Like I
maybe
said, I'm
maybe I'm
being picky,
thinking
but
optimistically.
Yeah.
But no, I think they can. I think they can do all of this sort of stuff.
because that's
If
what
they
I
weren't already planning for it, it might take a little bit more work. But
it's the same with weather, where I would like us to eventually get to a system that is actually a roaming pattern that can start in one area of the world, and as it leaves, it enters into another, uh, and ebbs and flows and grows and shrinks, and so you could actually anticipate. Okay, it's storming over here. That means in 2 hours it's going to be here, and there's a quest that I need that
Yeah.
only happens in the rain.
I don't think they're going to do that for a PvP game.
well, I also don't know how difficult it is for them to model uh, like weather cells and basically design the flow and circulation of air currents on them. Like they don't I don't think they're changing on Earth so much that they're unpredictable. Otherwise, meteorology would be a real tricky sort of thing. But we seem to have meteorology dialed down pretty well because all these weather cells are now well known, observed, and measurable phenomenon, and so it gives us a great deal of ability to predict weather. So being able to turn that back into something, it's not like they need an ultra high res pixel to pixel from the world to the sky representation of where weather is. That I would imagine there's going to be large globs and approximations that can be done basically across a lower resolution representation of the globe of Vera, and then in particular, focus on the area that we're playing in, maybe not focusing as much on things that are, so far offshore that they're outside of the game world, that they're at the point where you go so far and a kraken just, shoots ink at you and turns your boat around and pushes you back the other way.
Yeah, I mean, I think Ashes is going to be more focused on having at least for weather, um, how that's going to affect abilities and stats and things like that. They're going to focus more on that end than trying to make it realistic in terms of the weather pattern itself.
I hope it affects the music a lot too, because this is a game I plan to play
Oof.
with music on. So I
And so it's
definitely
interesting because what's the name of? Is it Bear? What's the name of the
Bear
bear?
McCreary.
Yeah. So I'm a Bear McCreary fan, but I'm even more so a Nightingale music fan. Um, because that just seems seamless. Like I don't know, in some ways I don't notice the music, and in other ways I do notice the music. I mean, it's got very immersive music, whereas Bears is like iconic music. Like it's pushing you, pushing you, pushing you to feel something.
Have we
Um,
actually heard any of his music composed for the
I
game yet?
don't think so. I
So
don't
then
think
it's
so.
gonna be hard to tell, but I could imagine for a game that has a lot of PvP emphasis, the combat musics will be very dynamic and robust in what they can offer.
Yeah. So it's in Nightingale has just changed my it's raised the bar for how I think about music because often I turn the music off. Even Bears music I'll turn off at some point. Um, but uh, Nightingale, I want the music and the sound on all the time. Um, so if we get this wand demo, um, are you wanting it to be wielded by a mage? It could be interested if it's wielded by something other than a mage.
I would love to see it wielded by a summoner, but we're not going to see that. I mean,
Are you supposed to?
they could have a summoner wield it. They just wouldn't use any summoning abilities. Like, yeah,
That's
we
my
rolled
point.
summoner for this, but it's just for show. Just
That's
a placeholder with a wand.
kind of my point is it's primarily a wand demo rather than a mage demo. They could do bard maybe if bard's ready. That might be a little interesting.
That could be fun.
Um, so they just also dropped that image. I guess maybe it's an old image, but I just saw this image of the Nakua starting gear, which looked pretty cool, but it was reminding me that we haven't seen even Dunir in the game since the change in the model, and I'm wanting to see. So I think that won't be this month. I'm assuming if they're doing desert, it's going to be not a Nakua um, in that desert demo.
I don't know why it wouldn't be Nakua in the desert.
They seem to be more naval oriented for the most part in the
They love
lore.
the beach, but the Great Hunt will take them wherever it
It
will.
will. I'm just saying. I think they'll still do something more suited to the desert instead of Nakua. But yeah.
I just hope all the fronds and everything have a nice wiggle and shake to them. So when you use the dance emote, it's got the that sort of like secondary movement that you get from all the hula stuff.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah, Veiloon is what I was saying earlier would
Hmm.
make sense to show. I mean, if they've got the KLR nailed down pretty well, I would hope that the Veiloon have been pretty well defined at this point. And
Yes.
it was kind of odd to me that initially the separation was like, oh, so like, more European people are this one and less European people are that one. And so they changed it up, but then in changing it up, it basically kind of did the same thing again. It's like, oh, so you've got these kinds of people, and then like the Valoon are your Roma, your Arab traders essentially. I think of like, Persian depictions in the movies and stuff.
Hmm.
So, and then they've got, like the jewelry and the very airy sort of clothes to go with it. But the part that I remember hearing something about or thought that was part of it was some expressions of um like genie affiliation or something with them, and whether that manifested in Sanctus or it manifested when they came back through to Vera. I don't know. We haven't really seen any of that. I think we've been seeing the you know, just the different kind of representations of approximately what to expect from their styles and appearances and such.
Yeah, and I think it's going to be interesting to see how much leeway we have with the character creator, since uh, the UE5 character creator controls, those tools are really robust. It's going to be interesting to see how they're limited for fantasy races.
The one that's going to be most interesting to me still is going to be what sort of shaping and blending and molding the Tolnar are going to offer. Like, can I have lizard head, tiger claws, and an ape rest of the body?
We have no clue. And I think the thing that bugs me about that is we still haven't seen any I feel like we still well, I guess we kind of got the
We've
heads.
seen
We
the
got
head.
heads. Yeah. Yeah.
We got heads. That's about it.
Even in,
Oh, yeah,
just
that was funny the way I said it, huh?
mhm, concept art. Even there, I would like to see some more concept art, even if we aren't seeing models in the game. But
Yeah, so that's That would, I guess, be the other one, a Tulnar summoner using the wand if you really wanted to ask what I want to see.
Okay.
Ain't gonna
Okay.
happen. Ain't gonna
Okay.
happen. I'm not gonna put money down on Vegas for that one.
Well, 1 out of 3 isn't bad.
But I definitely want to see more than just, all right, here's a one, here's hit one, here's hit two, here's hit three. Haha, that's all it is. Thanks, bye. Here's the next thing. I'm really hoping to get into more of the finer details. Um, how it deals with cover and people that are on the move. Does it have a tracking component to it? Is it still going to be kind of a straight shot? Does it have a slower, faster travel time than arrows? Those are some of the things that I guess I kind of want to know about it, along with, like I had said earlier, how deep and robust the specking and the weapon tree is for how people can customize and specify to potentially be able to use the wand in every with every primary archetype maybe being supplemented by a secondary archetype where it makes sense to use a wand with. Maybe not, maybe they're just ranger, but they use a wand because they use a wand, and that's just what they do. If their abilities allow them to use a wand instead of a bow, then I don't see why they wouldn't be viable. It also makes me wonder how much of it is going to be attributes, stat sticks for different sort of builds versus how much of it is side grade damage specificity sort of thing, that if you're going to be fighting a lot of heavily armored opponents, you're going to be wanting to use more magic because they're going to be physical tanks but maybe not magical tanks, as per the light medium heavy armor system. Or likewise, if you're going against a bunch of enemy rogue cleric, not rogue cleric, they're cleric acolytes who have gone rogue, that may be in robes and holding the sigils. And so, as good as my wand might be, there's no point trying to use it against these jerks. So, to that point, have your normally wand using wizard, now your mage, switch over to using a short bow for this encounter. And if we'll likewise see a similar sort of thing with the longbow, or if wands will be able to do both, and there's a short wand and a long wand, and I'm sure there'll be plenty of jokes about that if that's the case. But that is definitely something I'll be interested to see. Some of the variants, some of the opportunities, some of the changes, how they deal with cover, projectile speed, variants and stuff. Can you change the ammo type on them in any sort of way? Not that I know that you can do with that bows, but being able to see that sort of stuff, the ins and outs of it, the lengths to which it can be used. Uh, it'll be interesting because I've been very curious about the specificity of the different, not just the melee weapons, but also the ranged weapons, and how they're going to feel and be and play different than similar categories of weapons.
Phantom is saying that something doesn't seem right. He's saying in
Oh,
chat something doesn't seem right about the image of a tank coming at him holding a wand and a shield. But
True, you
I think
haven't
that
played the
could
Might and Magic series.
I think that could make a lot of sense for. I could see an elf maybe doing that, or a Nakua tank doing that. Um, it would seem weird, I think, for a buff human doing that, but or a Renkai, that would be real fun to see.
If it has an
Maybe
innate stun to it because of Force Wand, and if you hit all three hits of the combo, the enemy's stuck in place for half a second. Oh yeah, I could see a melee class using that for sure. Hell
well,
yeah! And
I'm
can you
just
get
saying
an
that.
extra stun in?
Yeah, I'm
I'm
just saying the image of it. But even a Vec, I could see a Vec using a wand and a shield as a tank? I mean, you know.
I don't know. I'm used to the idea of, well, it comes in my mind because it's happened. World of Warcraft Battleground, you're meeting your opponents coming running at you as you're running towards them, and you see that warrior with the Thunder Fury, and it's like, damn, we're gonna have a hard time here. That big ass weapon that indicates it's a strong tank, strong warrior. I'm not saying that couldn't happen with a wand. It just seems weird at the outset. Now maybe there is a extra long wand that becomes very recognizable and you see someone running at you with it in a shield and you're like, oh shit, gotta go. But right now it just seems weird. It feels weird. Um, feels
Because
off.
I would think normally you would be expecting something more like a scepter, something longer, a staff. But again, if it's that's if I'm imagining a human or a orc. But different cultures might do things differently. So that's kind of the whole point about um, any class being able to use any weapon and the different augments, how those augments
How
change your
many
fighting style.
how many ranged weapons do we have that you're able to use an offhand with, other than wands? Do we have crossbows? I don't believe so.
I mean, I think
Do
we
we
have
have slings?
wands. I think we have wands and wands and scepters is in that category. Also, so I think we have
Well, no, no,
tomes.
no. I think we actually answered it there. I
Hmm,
think we've answered it that we don't have physical ranged weapons. And
hmm,
so if I want to keep my tank shield up, but while I'm at range distance before it switches to my melee weapon or I use a melee weapon and it swaps for me, I want that shield up. That totally makes sense for why a tank would be using a wand because they want that shield up. That makes a lot of sense. If
hmm.
there become throwing daggers as a category of one-handed ranged weapon, sure, I could see them using that instead because they want to maintain some sort of, physical beefy, aesthetic or, whatever it is. Um, orb tanks, yes.
Yeah,
it'll
I
be
think we
it'll,
do
it'll
have.
be interesting. It'll be
I think we
interesting to
do
see.
have orbs and tomes as in the offhand. I think we do have those. I would kind of like to see that with the wands demo, but I don't know if we'll see that.
It's just that if you're doing something as an orb tank and you're going to tank a bunch of magic, you might be wearing a lot more light and medium than heavy at that point.
Yeah, we can do a mix.
It's, on an attribute basis, if you're trying to do your best against magics, then you'd want to be using a lot of light. But you might also get some teeth sunk into you here and there, so you want a little bit of medium to, or maybe just like a piece or two of heavy to kind of help balance it out and take a bit of an edge off of the damage. Maybe your most highly specialized two magic resist heavy items that you put on with your light stuff to give you a bit of a balance. Hard to say. Haven't been able to play it to that extent yet. Um, I wouldn't really say that I noticed the differences in different types of armor in PvP in Alpha One because I think we just died too quick in PvP for the armor type to matter much.
Uh-oh. Well, that's another question. So, what's the ideal time to kill?
Oh, enough time to like,
Enough.
you know, you got it. Yeah, some time.
How about 6 seconds?
Yeah, it could be all right. And depending on who's on the encounter and how well somebody's got the other person on the ropes because of their build and being able to counter the other person and stuff, yeah, sure. It's it's a difficult sort of one because and we've talked about this in the past. Um there's a lot of moving parts and components to gameplay that trying to balance the game based on 1v1 time to kill would definitely not be a good way to try to do things, because that's not, there's a lot more to the game than that. So that might be one thing they've been thinking about with it. But in terms of, overall time to kill, it could be anywhere between maybe 3 seconds of somebody blowing all of their abilities because their class meter is completely full up and you got this person, from behind or whatever, to, stalemate effectively, that neither of you were able to kill each other fast enough that other people didn't have time to intervene and interrupt the balance of things. So, you know, like some amount of time or something.
Some amount of time.
Yeah, I don't want to put a number on it because it's arbitrary.
Yep.
It's so situational.
No,
John,
I think it's supposed to be 30 seconds for PvP, but generally 6 seconds for PvE is what Steven is shooting for at the
30
moment.
seconds for PvP?
That's what I think so. That's what I think I
I think
saw.
you might have got those reversed. 6 seconds for PvP and 30 seconds for PvE
No,
sounds more
it's
like
definitely
it.
6 seconds for PvE.
So you're supposed to kill approximately every mob in about 6 seconds.
It's like the general thing is what was recently said, is my understanding, yes.
I know a lot of people make fun of his like gameplay skill, but that is definitely not the number he reaches when he does demos for us. So, that's kind of why I'm thinking you might have it reversed there. That 6 seconds in a PvP encounter, that's enough time that if you didn't completely freak out, and you're just doing this while the person's calmly beating you down. Um, that you'd be able to have some time to respond, get it quick, like heal consumable in, use some of your stuff to create some distance, maybe do something that will notify your nearby buddies that somebody just rolled up on you and you're getting stomped into the ground. 6 seconds is long for PvP in some games. In WoW, I was in vanilla WoW as a fully raid geared shaman engineer with all the explosives and everything an engineer uses very readily available. I would be mopping the floor with people. It'd sometimes be harder for me to find people than it was to kill them.
yeah. So
Um, so
here's
that
wiki.
sometimes didn't feel satisfying. Except paladins, you could never kill fast because of their bullshit overshield.
So the wiki mentions previously the TTK was thought to be 30 seconds to a minute. However, it is currently 6 seconds, and
Is the average for solo
yeah. But
against a
that
mob. Solo
also
against a
there's a
mob.
quote from Steven that they feel pretty good about where TTK is for PvP. So you can go to Caravan video and see, and they
Mhm.
feel good about it. I grew up with EverQuest, so I'm used to the it takes a minute or more to kill something,
Mhm.
and you're having to mez the ads every
Mhm.
30 seconds, and you just
Mhm.
go down the line, literally
Mhm.
sitting down to
Auto
regain
attack.
your mana as
Auto
you're
attack.
fighting.
Auto
Mhm.
attack.
Now you
Auto
have
attack.
spells, but
Oh
you
wait,
have to
I've
sit.
got a spell ready.
Mhm.
One. Auto attack.
You
Auto.
know, that's true, but I will say something about that. Yes, it's boring. It's not a very engaging way to have combat, but it took so long, and the process was such that you were forced to talk with the people you were playing with. Like it actually, when we talk about having a social game, like yes, it was, today it would be considered really shitty gameplay, but it forced you to actually work with people and communicate and say, "Oh, I'm out of mana. I'm going to sit down." Oh, Mr. or Mrs. Enchanter, your mob has broken its mez. Can you please reapply? Like you actually have to engage, which is lost right now. It is like you enter a WoW dungeon, right? And if you're not finishing that dungeon in 5 minutes, 5-10 minutes, like people are bailing or kicking you out, or um, like there's just no reason to. So I will say that there were some benefits to that system uh, in the way it worked in the first sort of iteration of MMOs that we had. But um,
Yeah,
I mean, you got to have as much time as you wanted to table talk with your buddies, and combat only took half the time it did in Dungeons and Dragons.
Mhm. Yeah, Steven's quote is on average, I've currently instructed the combat teams to tune average mob solo time to kill it 6 seconds. That's roughly three abilities and a couple of weapon attacks, which to me seems kind of fast. I think one of my pet peeves is that currently people seem to focus on their own rotations, which is the cooldowns of their common abilities, and not paying attention as much to, as Phantom was saying, working together with your buddies to um, really figure out tactics and strategies around each encounter. You just go through and say, "Okay, I've got these three abilities. Blah blah blah. I've tapped them." That's I don't know. Uh, that seems too fast to me.
yeah, I mean, equally when but yeah, the New World sort of left, right, and whatever else. R, no, what were the keybinds?
Well,
R E.
that's my problem. There is I don't consider that an RPG. You're using your weapons. You don't have a class in that. You're just doing weapon stuff, and you only have a few weapon abilities that you can use in that in any case, right? Like three. I wouldn't say that. I guess four or five, something like that. But you don't have a
Yeah,
lot
I
of
got
weapon
you.
abilities to use there.
Yeah, it was a little bit of a wacky sort of thing the way they had things set up there.
I like the combat in that, but it's not an RPG, so it's not. I don't go to New World to scratch my RPG itch. It's a fun online game.
I
So
get you.
here's a question for y'all. A couple. I know we're towards the end, but we can go over a little bit, maybe. Uh, so I think the general consensus for if you are on Discord, multiple different Discords, when they announced, of course, Midnight Magic, and everybody's like, "What the hell does that mean?" And they spend a lot of time trying to figure it out. And then when it comes out that it's lighting and wands, maybe the desert, that's kind of thrown in there. I think the general consensus has been the last, I don't know, 3 or 4 live streams have been kind of titled or presented poorly.
Oh,
Like,
really? That's not what I heard.
no, the words, like the
Oh, the words
announcement,
for them. I
like
gotcha. Okay.
like what we're doing. And
Hmm.
everybody's like, well, this doesn't sound all that cool. And then the streams actually turned out pretty decent. Some of them probably some of the best they've had in the year. So with Midnight Magic and wands and lighting, is there anything you think that they might be trying to sneak in here? Like, is there anything that you can think of tied to that, or anything that we might be surprised by?
Well, we talked about potentially having deserts. I was gonna say maybe PvP, at least to the extent of being able to see what fighting other players at night will look like, so we have a better idea of like, is it like super duper dark? Are we gonna be able to kind of see people? Will we need to hold a light source while we're out
It
there?
definitely will not be super, super dark, and you will not need a light source because any abilities that you use are gonna light up the night sky. That's all I hear about is it's too flashy, it's too flashy, it's too flashy. And it's true, they like to do some flashy stuff, and then the viewers tend to make them tone it down. But yeah, that's crazy.
It is lighting, not lightning. I think actually some people thought it was
Oh.
lightning initially, because they was like,
Lightning and
we've already seen
wands?
that.
You mean lightning wands?
Maybe it is supposed to be lightning and it was a
No,
typo.
I'm pretty sure it is lighting.
There's been some clarifications. So Diggs, anything you can think of?
No, I don't. I don't really anticipate. I just wait and have reactions afterwards.
What do you expect from if we get a desert? What improvements from what we gosh, when did we last see? Was it 2 years ago? How long ago was it that we saw?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't remember, but yeah, I don't have anything like that. I just wait and see what they show us, and then I'll have reactions to that.
Yeah, 2 years. Yes, 2 years, long time. Hopefully, there's been some changes. There was also an interesting question that I was on the Golden Feather. I think have we all been on the Golden Feather now? Nora, have you been?
Yes.
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 Yes, they mentioned that they had now the trifecta.
hmm
They had asked a question. It caught me off guard. It was if you could uh, have Steven answer one question on stream, he had to answer it. What would you ask him? And I had to. I was on their stream last week. I had to like had almost had my brain like blow up because I was trying to not mix what I am not allowed to say. My answer to that question was, will the White Order be a guild in Ashes of Creation?
hmm I saw that. The White Order is Steven's guild, right?
Yes.
hmm
Will his guild have a presence in his game?
And the interesting about thing about that is he was one of the leaders for combat leaders, at least. I mean, I don't know how
Well,
many
he was
leaders
the
they had,
leader of
but
the guild.
hmm
He ran the naval unit for
yeah,
Archangel.
that's what I meant. Yeah, running the naval unit. And right, the funny thing about that, and I think you mentioned on the Golden Feather that it's not unprecedented for devs to play in the games, even if
Mhm.
they're using aliases. And uh, we can just imagine the way Steven plays in the demos. The
Well,
problem with having Steven playing is that for sure he knows too
yeah,
much, and he'd be doing some stuff to make,
You know,
it would not be a fair fight.
he's very much got the worst of the I know everything about this game that I'm making, but I'm definitely not the best one playing it sort of thing because traditionally at a game company, the QA team is always the most proficient players. They have played the game
Forwards and backwards.
over and over and
hmm
over in all sorts of different ways. And don't just think that they skip to level 30 and start testing level 30 stuff. Oh, no, 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 no. You might have an accelerated experience thing going, but you might have to actually go through and level the character up to simulate the genuine experience so other elements of the leveling process are accurately being tested so you don't accidentally have a problem where it's like, oh, well, accidentally the level up from 28 to 29 just doesn't work and they just get completely bricked. And it's like, well, we should have been testing that. Why were because we were all skipping the level 30 to no, 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 no. So yeah,
here,
QA. If you want to get the people who are playing it the absolute best and watch them like dunk on other people, probably start with QA. Sometime during Alpha 2, I would imagine like the most hardcore try hard like Mega Raid guild is going to have people who are very proficient in Alpha 2 Ashes of Creation. And I hope they aren't too surprised when the phases after Alpha 2 are different than the things that they've planned and spec for.
Yeah,
Don't
I
make too
mean,
many plans. Like no
yeah.
no no plan you make now is gonna survive getting punched in the face. So definitely
here's the thing.
you know,
I- Here,
have
here's
ideas.
here's what I don't get about watching Steven play. There are, I think by all accounts, everybody agrees that he is not the most engaging combatant to watch demonstrate skills and rotations.
Sometimes.
But
Sometimes, yeah.
here's what I don't understand. And here's where I get confused. There are numerous. I mean, if you go to YouTube and again just look up the White Order, there are numerous videos out there of him playing, of typically of people beating him, but he's not bad. Like the reason they're posting these is because it's the sorcerer, the the head guy of the White Order, and they beat him in the arena. He wasn't playing poorly, so something just is weird in the translation from what's there to here. Now, I don't know if that's the differences of a completed game that he played and played and played and played versus
That one.
a game in development that, he gets to get in and test out. But there's like almost a night and day of what you can find of him on YouTube and what you see on Twitch. It's strange.
Yeah. No, it's I would say for where he's at in life with all of his responsibilities and all the, things he has going on at home and family and life and all of that, he doesn't have the time to be an expert player. And, to some extent people might make fun of him for that, but to be honest, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that in a big way because I'd rather him doing that. There have been people in the past, not going to name names, major project leaders at studios that made major games, and the person did genuinely make a lot of really good games. So it's not like the person doesn't have credit. But every time they played the game that was being worked on, they went in, they had fun, they were giddy, they did things that broke the game and continued doing it without giving the engineers even a chance to fix it or ways to mitigate it. My favorite was the one where every time they had a test server that was up for long enough, it would all be burnt to the crisp because the project leader would come in and light stuff on fire. And there was a cool fire spreading system, but there wasn't really a fire resolution system. So it would just keep on spreading and destroy the entire. And they just kept on going until they're like, we can't make any damn progress with you continuing to do that. And so they had to pull it as a feature. I'm glad we're not getting that. Absolutely the opposite, in fact, is what I'm happy for. And the people might be able to put the dots together. You two might know exactly who I'm talking about in the project, but um, it's just such an odd sort of thing to me. The idea, and I can get wanting to play the thing that's being worked on and wanting to enjoy it for what it is, even though it's nowhere near where it needs to be. And so that's kind of what I like is he can be a bad player or he can appear to be a bad player while also under the pressure of trying to do demos, sometimes being, doing the second recording because the first one got botched and so they're literally doing one take right before it goes live. Whatever the circumstances, it's fine. It's really fine. It's not a big deal. It's a bigger deal if he's spending 36 hours a week at the office playing the game, not making, business decisions, not interacting with the leads and all the producers, not making sure that all the bills are being paid and that there aren't ants crawling in. I mean, he doesn't specifically go through and like pick all the ants up with tweezers or something, but to be able to have groundskeepers and maintenance stuff on top of all of that, that's what I'm enjoying is that he seems to be genuinely invested in the game, in developing it and making it happen so that yeah, then when it does launch he will be able to play and enjoy it a lot more, though I don't think his responsibilities are necessarily going to diminish too much, because I'd imagine this is probably not a one game studio, and I'd imagine there's going to be more than just Ashes of Creation, the game, maybe like a mobile helper app or something that might exist, or other sorts of spin-offs and stuff that they might feel like doing. You know, we'll see. There'll be tales if there's a way to like compile the tales of your character into a book that is generated. Yes, maybe with some assistance from an AI. Um, that you can have like the story of your character made in a cool, Ashes of Creation leather bound book and be able to have that on your shelf. That's cool. You can hand that through the generations. Like, this was my character in a game that existed from, this decade to that decade. before everything went quantum and all of our engineering had to get swapped out.
There's a whole bunch of caveats in any case with regard to um, there's a difference between playing a game and demoing a game. There's a difference between playing an alpha and playing a finished game. So an alpha where you don't have all of the abilities and all of the gear, you can't min max to the same degree that you could. Is he playing his preferred class? There's all kinds of stuff going on there that make it
So I
more
kind of
difficult than just playing. And also, his forte is running large battles and being the leader in, I don't know, 100-player battles or 50-player battles or whatever he's shooting for, versus solo play. So
but what would you
there's
ask
that.
him?
I don't even know what my next forum question is supposed to be, let alone what I would ask him.
There's
Off the top of my head, I would ask him, when is Nodes 3?
Nodes 3 is a good question.
uh, Nero, did you say yours? Did I miss it?
Yeah, he said his, I think.
What was mine then? I don't
I
remember.
don't know. I don't remember either.
I thought we just talked
Uh,
about
yeah,
Maybe we just talked about
Steven's
yours.
gameplay.
Yeah, maybe we just talked about
yeah.
yours.
We talked about Steven gameplay a whole lot, and no, I think I guess to ask him a question. It's a hard one because he's got the ability of a celebrity interviewer or an athlete to be able to do the thing where he answers the question he wants to answer instead of answering the question that's been asked. And so there's a lot of things I'd love to be able to ask him, but unless the terms of it are that I can define the specificity of the details and the homing in on the thing that I'm specifically asking about, um there's plenty of things that I could potentially be asking about.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that I have a question that I want to ask him. There's just things that I think we want to see. Like, I think, and one of us may have had a chance to see it already. Um, I'd love to see how nodes are working. That's the big thing that we want to see. And so I have something about. I think
Honestly, I
it's
think
related to
crafting
nodes and mayors
crafting is
and
probably the sort of thing that I'd actually want to ask more about, but which part about crafting? There's a lot.
yeah. I think my next forum question was supposed to be something about caravans and when they unlock and I think the question is kind something like are caravans required in order to progress the node to the next stage? Because I think that answer is yes, but we might need some clarification. So I think that would be my next actual question for Stephen is are caravans required in order to progress nodes to their next stage?
Sounds like, and I'm not going to say any more than this because I don't know that it's been announced publicly, but it sounds like he might be joining some show of people that we know sometime soon. So,
Cool.
don't know any more than
Be on the
that.
lookout.
But
Going to be on the Ashen Forge next month. That's confirmed now.
yeah, hey, I'd take him for a fourth time.
It's Phantom confirmed.
No, but yeah, hope so. You might get a chance to ask him some questions. I don't know how they'll do it, but that's always a double-edged sword with having Steven on as a guest. Do you open up questions to the community or do you not? You really can't win either way.
I kind of think I have to because I hated my questions last time.
Of course, they hit all of our
So
questions. Why
I'll,
are you
I'll, I'll,
asking that?
I'll let them give me all the questions on like a forum or Reddit post or something, and then I'll pick the ones I like from among them. So
We
that way
tried
I
that and
can.
we still got trashed the last time.
No, I was still asking a lot of my own questions.
We had some of our own, and we had some from other places, and they were like, "Those are the worst questions in the world." It's like, okay.
Yeah. Well, we are a little bit over. Anything else to keep talking about? We of course have the next stream on, when is it? The next, not this Tuesday, but next
Yeah,
Tuesday.
I think we have another show before the
Yep.
next stream.
So we'll probably venture through the questions on the forums there. I've not posted any. Again, I'm just that the hardest thing not to do is ask questions. But yeah. I will, I believe, be on 1v1 with Lattice tomorrow at 8 p.m. Central. So I guess 9 East, well, our normal time.
When is that? When is that?
Tomorrow. So
Mm.
kind of came about quick. So I think it's happening tomorrow. So I don't
Okay.
know what's going on. All of a sudden I can't talk, and I'm on these other.
Yep, on every show they
Yeah,
found out that you're a Phoenix
that's
Initiative, and they're like, "Ha, perfect person."
that's the what can we get spilled? So.
Mhm.
Yes.
All right. Thanks everyone for joining us again, and sorry for the problems up front. I don't know what was going on with my internet. It settled down, but I do have a recording, so I'll probably hide the YouTube version of this and just repost sometime tomorrow. So, yeah, and the new little screen that we made here, I'm curious. Let me know what you think about it, either in Discord or if you watch this on replay. If it's too busy or not, I don't know. I like this better than what I had, but literally it took me about an hour to put together, so I don't know how I feel about it yet. So, but yeah, I hope everyone has a great week, and we will see y'all next Sunday.
Later,
Oh,
everybody.
I might let me know this too. I don't know that it is Bitcraft been streamed much. I tried looking this up and I could not find really anybody on
Stream
Twitch
it.
streaming it.
Just do it.
It is not under NDA, so I've thought about
Just
doing
do
that
it.
if I
Just
have
do it.
time.
Just do it.
If I can get lethality on with me, just
That
do
will
it.
not happen.
Yeah, I know, but I can dream. Oh, and PAX Day actually is Tuesday. There's a lot of testing going on right now.
Did
Quinfall also sent out
you
its invites.
did you get an invite to PAX Day?
Yes, I would
Good.
hope so.
Okay.
With 100,000 people, I hope so.
Good.
I still think this is their prelude to early access, but they just want to make sure the servers can take 100,000 people.
What about you, Nero? Did you try to get into PAX Day, or did you not?
I think I might have signed up for it. I'm like maybe a little too busy for
I
like
mean, I know
some
you're
whole bunch
busy. I
of
was just
games.
wondering if you got an invite. Yeah.
No, I've been
Okay.
picking around in Soulframe a little bit. Not really
Mm.
much to say, so I won't say anything. You're also not really supposed to, but
Okay.
I might have a
um
second for you to take. So, uh,
Oh,
um,
okay.
I might actually run around with Narc and his group just to see what it's like with a bigger group of people putting a build together. But we only have like a week, so I don't know what can get done.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, now we really will into the show. So, everyone have a great rest of your Sunday and a great week, and we will see you back here next Sunday.
later, everybody.